Hi there, this is Alex, and I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for listening to this episode and any other episode here at the Style Learn Origins podcast. Make sure that you check out the description of each episode as we have links for great products like Luca, where you can start your business and create your brand kit directly using AI, online course platforms that are innovative and use AI like LearnWorlds. Now, let's get into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to another great episode in the second season of Style and Origins. You know what it is. Style and Origins is a podcast that brings you all things related to learning and development and the practices that we do, and perhaps some insights from their specific origins. And sometimes we got guests, and this is another one of those great episodes where we do have a guest. And our guest today is actually a very incidental guest. I met her through LinkedIn. And she said, you know what? I love to do an episode. And I was like, let's do it, because that's, there are no heavy requirements over here to do episodes. You just got to be passionate about what you do. And this lady is passionate about what she does. She's been doing it for quite a while. And we're talking about sales enablement. So her name is Karen Sanderson. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you? I think my specific comment was, you're speaking my language.
Yes. We're making jokes in the beginning that you're a senator, and I don't know, like I'm CNN and I'm misquoting you. My specific comment was, yes. I get you. Yes. Karen, so great to have you here. And we're talking about sales enablement. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you wanted to talk about it.
Mhm. I am just a passion about sales enablement for quite the greater part now of my career. It started because I used to be a sales rep in medical device, and I love to sell. And then I got to a point, I'm like, you know what? I want to actually help sellers sell. And so that then transitioned into the sales enablement space, where at the time it was very new. I had spent quite a bit of time of my career within the medical device arena, specifically on sales enablement. And then my latest venture was in customer enablement for a larger tech firm. So segued a little bit and got to see a different lens, still partnering with sales, but having the lens of the customer. And really just providing, my passion is really just providing resources, education, and to those that need it most, and to have it readily available. And so that I know when I was in the field and selling, like, I was always struggling and searching and trying to find information and trying to find this, that, and the other thing. It wasn't delivered in a nice, concise, packaged way to help me along the career of my sales journey. So that's really what prompted it. And from there, it's just exploded and grown, and I love it.
Good. Yeah, so we're having this discussion about, origins and things like that. Oh, sales enablement, like what's the origin of that? And it doesn't really, we can say it's fairly recent. We found some things out there in the Googles of the world where there was the name of John Aiello, who was a sales guy out in a Miller company, and Drew Larson also. They strategized this new approach to sales operations and management, and I guess it got dubbed as sales enablement. But a lot of people throw this around, and I usually say, because I had the opportunity to work in this capacity as an instructional designer, and to me, I think it's something of interest because it's I like to think this way. It's like it's closest to the money. So, when you work in sales, you're the closest to the money. What that means is that if anything, if we put the Pareto principle in play here of, 20% of the effort gives you 80% of the results, sales is pretty much part of that 20%, if not the majority of it. So being close to the money, what I mean by that for any learning professional is that the closer you are to the money, then you get to play with the best tools. You get to play with a lot of things because the budget is pretty much out there and open. But what is sales enablement specifically? Like, if you were to give someone a definition or explanation that has no, because it's not traditional training, right? So, what is it?
Mhm.
Sales enablement per se.
There's a layer of to the enablement space that is fundamental training, right? You're right. It is a newer discipline within the organizations, and it's an exciting time now because a lot of organizations are seeing the value of what is termed enablement. And right now, there's a lot of key words being thrown around, like you have sales enablement, you have customer enablement, you have commercial enablement, revenue enablement, go to market enablement. There are a lot of words right now, but really how I view it, and others could have their own take on it, right? Because it is also defined by the organization. But how I've liked to play in this space is thinking that it's this center of a wheel. Yes, you've got the sales reps, and if you're in sales enablement specifically, you are supporting them and you hope that there's money. But without the sales reps, you really struggle as an organization. Those sales reps, to your point, really drive the organization. So you've got that one spoke of the wheel, that's the sales reps. But then to drive that forward, you're working with every single discipline within the organization. And ideally, that's how I've always viewed it. You're partnering close with marketing. You're helping marketing drive their initiatives. You're helping the sales reps understand the marketing initiatives so that they can speak to it to their customers. You're working with sales leaders to help coach the sales reps. You're working with sales operations on the tools and processes that need to be shared with the sales reps to help them do their job. You're working with support so that as customer success also is layered in there too. And as questions come in from the field on the support angle, you're working and understanding those requests and asks and seeing, okay, how can we iterate and improve over time? And that's a key piece of it too, is the continuous thinking of it as a wheel going around and around, how you're going to continuously iterate and improve.
Nice. Yeah, and one link that we have here, which is like a membrane. Huh, that's kind of cool name, marketing name. Membrane meaning MEM, and then the word brain as in like the brain,
Oh, okay.
membrane. And they have this, I'm quoting here just from them, that said that Aiello and Larson pioneered a method to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of salespeople that was catered toward the changing buyer. Which is it's a very good key component there, because buyers change. The markets are really fast today, right? Really,
Exactly.
not every, if you're stagnant in this type of field, then it's like, you're dead. Um, so the I found some, in my career when I was working on this stuff, I found some that there are some uses of some specific technologies that sort of help with the coaching of the sales reps or improving their flow, differentiation, positioning, all that good stuff, all those fancy terms, right? Like a differentiation is like, how do you make yourself different from the competition? Positioning is where this product sit in the market, or
Mhm.
how are you presenting this to your prospects, right? And so I think I remember Allegro was one of those. Allegro is like a video platform where um, you can record. Let's say that I'm the sales manager, and I'd be like, okay, close me on this, right? And then send that to the reps, and then the reps can actually get that and then reply with their own cameras with the video, right? Just actually provide that feedback. Say, oh, well, yes, absolutely. I think based on your needs, this and this and that, right? And then they're able to get that feedback back and forth. And the other one was Gong, which is more about the analysis of the calls.
Mhm.
When they run the calls online, like a Zoom call, like what we're doing, right? So then the coaches can or the managers or whoever can take a look at that call and see how everything went, because obviously the one thing to understand too is that there's somewhat of a pitch that people need to follow, right? Some kind of process. I mean, not to the letter, but at least a process, right? Like a deck. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are the things that sales enablement is kind of helping out in some respects, like the decks and that type of stuff.
Exactly, right? So the other part of that wheel is working with instructional designers,
Mm,
right? And you're working with your sales coaches within your organization to really pull together that program. And from an enablement point of view, and you hit it on the head, you're collaborating with marketing and with customer success to understand that customer journey. So to better layer in that message so that you can tailor that message and work with the designers for building out a program or your sales coaches to develop that program more effectively. So you're effectively targeting, right, your customer in the right set at the right time within that sales cycle.
right.
And it's ever changing. To your point, right? It's moving. What works 1 week may not work 3 weeks from then because maybe there's something new that's in the market. Maybe there's a new competitor. Maybe, right? So it's being able to also pivot quickly.
So that's very interesting, Karen. Then there's another AI. If you think about AI, because you have to talk about AI. If you're not talking AI, it's like you're dead today. So,
Mhm.
a good friend of mine, Yana, from Dex2Go, which is a great tool they have set up a good thing, which is kind of interesting, which is kind of like a chat-based conversation and also a video interface conversation. So what it is it tests your communication skills. It does assessments of your communication skills, and they also have sort of like a segue into sales. So what happens there is that you can respond either like a chat GPT by text, right? So it could be like a thing that, back to our conversation of the pen, right? It's like some is pen. So it'll be like, yes, absolutely. Based on what you were talking about, customers. So you can be typing that, right? And then the algorithm in the back will actually analyze everything you put down, and then kind of pinpoint to things that, it was trained to do. So it'd be like, yeah, it's great that you did this, you did that. It gives you the feedback. So it does the same if you do record yourself on the camera, because it will actually will convert your voice to speech, your voice to text, and do that, and then spit out like a recommendations, like, hey, you did great here and here and here, but you may want to think about this and this and that. And yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
what other tools have you known that are pretty cool for sales and new?
There's a lot out there. um,
think we
I
were talking.
had
Didn't we talk about Walk Me or something? Or
we did in a previous conversation. We did talk about Walk Me. I love Walk Me. I'm a
uh,
big fan. Getting back to that point of that in that moment needing to refresh. Oh, I forgot how to enter this in. It's
mm,
able to guide you and be able to push information to you too. Based on X number of people always getting stuck in this one spot, it's able to say, oh, okay, there should be some additional information at this point to help the user get to the next point. So it does just that. It walks the user through, and it's easy to use, easy to administrate. So I'm a big fan, and I most recently too started using AI for creating videos that translate,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
supporting various regions.
Funny enough, you mentioned that because I did a video just recently on Verbo, which is kind of like a tool like Synthesia, where you do that. So like,
Yes, easy is exactly what I was thinking.
oh, you're thinking,
I just used that.
okay.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. So
It's
yeah, well, you're talking to a nerd, so that's it.
they're a great company, and I mean their technology too to develop an avatar. And when I say avatar, I don't mean the
Yeah.
old cartoon, kind of thing. It was like myself.
Oh
They
yeah.
can design an avatar like me and have it delivered in multiple languages, and it
Oh,
actually works great.
and they broke the mold would they make you? Come on.
Yeah. Oh boy. it broke. I don't know. Yeah, they're not going to pick up those pieces again. Let me tell you.
So the ways to get into sales enablement, I figure naturally will be to have been in sales, right?
Most do not necessarily have to. Most do. That just happened to be my path because I carried that. I'm a salesperson at heart
Mm.
type of mentality. So, but not, some do. Not everyone.
I once heard, we're all in sales.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one.
everybody's always selling something, whether you know it or not, right?
Like the message. We're all in sales. Doesn't matter where
Yeah.
you're from.
You're
So
selling messaging, you're selling programs, yes.
oh yeah, messaging and all that. So in the field of, I worked in the medical device field back in the day, specifically sleep apnea devices, where there's sophistication there when it goes to that point, right? Because in some respects, you can be in medical device. Usually, you tend to be talking to doctors, or you may be talking to professionals, right? Like degree professionals, licensed professionals. So what was your approach, or what were your tips that you were given back then in that type of enablement? As in, if we're going to compare it against, software technology, which is the
Hmm. Hmm. Man, I think the key ingredient to a successful sales rep will always be listening.
mm,
That is the secret sauce, maybe. I think some do it very well. Some are able to listen and then regurgitate it back in a different format very well. But I think that's the fundamental skill of a lot of sales reps, independent of any um, profession or customer that you may be selling for too. I really think that is the key ingredient.
yeah. And then the other part, I mean, what I know from experience, I feel that I know a lot about this though, and that would love at some point to crack a sales opportunity, but be a salesperson. But what I mean is that, in the sense of the communication pieces and stuff like that, because I studied this type of stuff in leadership programs and whatnot.
Mm.
I mean, you're completely right. So listening, key component there, right? And then the other part is that sometimes it sounds cliche, but it's always a very classic example of the whole sell me this pen type thing, right? Which is,
Mm.
it's not about the product, which will people without this finesse will immediately kind of hunt into, right? It's like, sell me this, and then you start going, well, this is a great pen, or it's got a, it's got this, right? And the whole point of that is different, right? So what would be your
It's
approach for that? Like, what is your approach to that, or has been your approach to that? So sell me the
it's
pen.
it's listening for the need,
Oh, okay, good.
right? What is listening to what your customer really is struggling with, and
Mm,
then matching that with whatever may be in your bag,
mm, mm,
right? And it doesn't mean you sell the kitchen sink at right. You're picking and choosing because in my mind, as a sales rep, no one likes to get sold to, right? But everybody has a need or a struggle that they're looking for things to help with and fix. And so really honing in on what that struggle is and identifying that need. And it can be a lot of different sales processes, right? Or theories, sales process, however you want to phrase it, right? They each have their nuances, but I think at the end of the day, it really is getting to the need. They'll all agree on that one. that you honing in, and then from an enablement perspective, you're already teeing up based on whatever library of needs that your customer may have. From an enablement perspective, you're able to arm the sales rep with a talk track, with selling points, with education, whatever it may be to help that sales rep. Maybe it's tools that they need in the moment to speak to.
mm.
Maybe it's something that they're able to show. Maybe it's a sales slick. Maybe it's something over Zoom that they can send. However, that looks from an enablement perspective, you're able to provide those things that sales rep needs on the ready.
Yeah. And I think it's also, I mean, there's a particular way that you are, and I guess I'm interested in knowing that evolution for you, but I think that many people will have to go through, once you get seasoned and you're successful, one perspective in sales, it's sort of a transformation that you have to go as well because you like anything else, you get exposed to specific things and that changes the way, you are. So like dealing with rejection, for example, the best salesperson has no problem dealing with rejection, right?
Mhm.
What was your experience with that? Like, were you like the first when you started, were you like butt hurt about it or?
Well, you can't let it get to you. Right? I mean, it's with anything, no matter what role you're in, right? You have a background in instructional design too. I'm sure somebody has said to you, "Oof, don't like it," right?
Mhm.
And so you take it in stride, you shake it off. It's not personal, it's business. You shake
All
it
right.
off
Yeah,
and you circle
yeah,
back.
go. No, finish that, please. Sorry.
Oh no, that was it. That was it. You circle
Oh,
back
okay.
later at a later time.
I was thinking that you had also you have to be ready to is a numbers game in some respect, right?
Yes. Well, sales, yes.
So you like, you knock on 100 doors, you may get 99, right?
Someone's gonna say yes.
Yeah. Someone's gonna be like, yeah, sure, let me talk to you. Yeah, it's definitely I think it's a great quality to have. Because I think in anything else it translates to then to what's possible.
Hmm.
So you're not gonna be like, oh, they said no.
Right, right. Because I mean, maybe it's no, not right then and there. It doesn't mean no forever. It just means no, not right now. And
Mhm.
so, okay, maybe at a later time, maybe something will change, right? Like I said earlier, things change so
Yeah.
quickly. New competitor comes to the market. Well, maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow, you know?
Talking
And,
about
and
this, the reason why we did this episode was because I always thought that there's some good parallels in there with the best strategies for learning and development based on sales enablement, meaning that it's not, I think the majority of it is outside the LMS, first of all. And that is, in the same time, it's very personalized well, lack of a better word, the sales persona, right? So, in other words, if you're like an on-site rep and then, you're gonna go meet a client face to face, right? That you may have resources that are online, but they're primarily mobile, right? Like on your phone type thing. You ain't gonna have time to be running around with a laptop or in your office or something like that. So you may want to like go over your battle cards or your, whatever
Mhm.
his names, but like, it's like a job aid for anybody else's in learning in the
Right.
moment. So, it's like a little battle card, little profile of the customer or specific needs that were gathered before or things like that. So you can pinpoint and kind of, frame your flow on it, right? Make sense?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And there's so many great tools out there now for that. If you've got a robust CRM, a lot of that now has layered those components in there so that not only can you maybe look up a battle card like you were saying, but you've got now that history of that customer. There's so much to be said for, you know, being able to reference things quickly on the phone, even just refreshes. You might have done your work the day before and prepped, whether it be virtual, whether it be face to face, but that last minute refresher, that's what it really is important too. And how are you going to access that? You're going to access it on your phone, and even on a Zoom call. Everybody's on their phone all the time. There's so many great tools right now to do that too, and it really makes the enablement space, that adds another layer of fun to it, because now you've got these tools that are being layered in to help support the premises that enablement has been doing and offering for sales in the organization. Now you've got these great tools that are in place and that are growing and building with the, I'll say, the discipline of enablement.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, sure. The I use it, I use it in a lot of different ways. I think sometimes I may use that type of approach, but what I was saying is the straight parallel and something that L&D should be doing more is that performance piece. So that enablement piece, I think, whether you call it performance support or enablement, I think those elements should be the first strategy for any type of training function because that's what's closest to the actual work, daily work or tasks that people do. See, because a lot of departments get caught up on the whole, oh, make a course and looks great and put it in the LMS, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
well, the LMS is also the same correctional facility where the compliance courses are served from.
So a lot of times, yes. So
Go
it's
to
a
prison
stigma.
again. Yeah, yeah, nobody wants to visit a correction facility. They just do it because they
Yes.
do. So, so yeah, it's I think there's a lot in there. Something I'm curious of because I said I use it in interviews quite a bit in the sense that I do you research the company that you're gonna talk about, maybe check their news articles, so you can pepper that into your conversation, that type of thing. How is the sales? How is like the I've never done it because obviously I've never been a salesperson, but how is the sales interview though? Like, how does I imagine it could be like very intimidating or cutthroat or like, like how is it?
Could be. It could be, right? The sales
It's
interview
like a
could
white,
be.
I was gonna say it's like a white shark convention, right? It's like a one shark.
Yeah. It depends. It depends on the organization. It depends on the hiring manager, what it is that they're looking for
Mm.
in their sales rep to fulfill the skills of their team.
Uh-huh.
Right, right. But I actually wanted talking about skills, I want to go back to what you were just saying about the LMS.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is. Anyone that does their compliance training, they're thinking, oh, I don't want to now learn something additional, go to that thing again. But I think there's a lot to be said for continuous learning, right? And I think if a learning program is designed correctly, yes, you're layering. Everyone has compliance. It is what it is. It, you know, there's actually some really great programs out there that I have participated in that are moving the tide and making them more interactive. But it, learning is not a one and done principle, and I try whenever I start an organization to say it is not a one and done event. There's always opportunities to learn. And yes, we may ask you to go back to that LMS, but working with your instructional designer and your learning team, you can design short, quick bursts. So it's not the heavy, long, SCORM compliance thing that we may have in our brains already, right? There's some really additional tools that are out there. You don't even have to spend a lot of money in doing it, but just layering in those simple components, right? Because I believe, yes, you can get the job as a sales rep. Yes, you can sell, but you're always going to have additional struggles, and there's always going to be that customer that's out there that you really want to work hard to get. What are the skills that you can develop and get to that one, right? And so that's where the additional learning really layers in nicely.
Oh no, yeah, of course. And then you have to separate learning from training and
Two very different things.
different things. And also separate learning from information, which is another part.
Yes.
So, like the little microscopic little digestible and succulent nutrition of micro learning.
Right.
You're learning diabetes. That that's great information. That could be information. I think the main concern is that a lot of people get caught up, as you were saying, if it has to be scored because well, we have to track it, we have to track it, we have to report on it. And that world is kind of changing quite a bit already. So
Mhm.
organizations are like still working with the format that is like 20 years old, which it is. They're gonna be still because that's all they know, right? So well, I'm doing Storyline and I'm doing Scorn. I'm doing Rise and I'm doing Scorn, right? and that's all we know. This is the only way it goes in the LMS. But the other parts would be that you have all this content, the specific sales tools. There are content management systems like HighSpot, for example, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a quick thing and it has interactions and it's basically once you look at it, it's kind of like Articulate Rise. It's just that it has its own analytics. So, visit it, consume, blah, blah, that type of taking stuff. So I think if we separate that context, then you get that clear. The organization that understands the difference on like its training versus its information.
Right.
And learning is just the overall thing. And I mean, it's like great, absolutely continuous, but training has a specific target or should have, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A specific metrics and it has a beginning and an end. So, it's like you're doing
Right.
training because perhaps you're going to, hey man, you can't close for the next 90 days. You need some closing training, right? All right, cool. So we do some closing training. Well, here's where you are today. Here's your status quo, right? Like
Right. Right.
that's 90 days. Good. Here's what are you doing? Right? Like, oh, I'm doing this and that. Okay. So you're not really following this process here. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that, you should be able to say, okay, well, now we're gonna track you for the next 90 days. And now, okay, are you closing? Oh, you're closing. Oh, okay. So something there worked, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
something worked. But enablement is as you say, it's continuous. It's always there. It's like
Yeah,
fluid, right? It's
it
there.
is. It is. And I said that a key ingredient for a sales rep is listening. I think a key ingredient for enabler is to listen
Mm,
to that sales rep that might need some help or additional coaching to close. What is it that you need? How do you want to access it? Where do you see there are, maybe gaps in what you've just taken right now that was designed and you participated in? Is there something lacking, but is there something that you're seeing in the field that you can help bring in and add? And it's that being able to iterate and improve, also,
mm,
right? Listening to your customer. My customer has shifted. I'm no longer in sales. I don't have an external customer. My customer is internal.
mm.
So I listen to them to say, okay, what is it? How can I create it? How can I layer it in?
That's right. Yeah, sorry, that's nice. So yeah, sales enablement, very interesting. You know, a good thing of what the last 25 years. Good thing of the last 25 years, and it's always moving. And I think that one good quote here. Apparently, there is a society, or maybe that's another
There's
brand.
many.
The
There
same
are many.
society.
Mhm. Yep.
Enablement ensures buyers are engaged at the right time and place and with the right assets by well-trained client-facing staff. Provide a lot of dashes there, world class along
Yeah.
this journey. Yeah, yeah,
It's understanding the customer journey and getting that from marketing, right?
yeah.
Partnering with them so that you understand it and the different types of customers. It's not a one size fits all.
True. Especially now that you got, B2C, B2B, right? And B2B2B. And so
Mhm. There are a lot of layers.
a lot of layers. Well, that's awesome. Karen, you've been amazing here. Like good, good expertise bringing up on the sales side and sales. What are you doing these days?
Thank you. Thank you. These days I'm, working with people like you, and having great conversations. I'm identifying my next opportunity right now, and so we'll see where that takes us.
Oh, cool.
But it's exciting. It's exciting.
Well, and so you're like consulting or you're like seeking out a next role?
Seeking out a next role.
Nice. Okay. Well, anybody listening out there, with my thousands and thousands of listeners, I'm over here just, invoking what is it called? The universe.
There you go. Yep.
Thousands of listeners, It won't happen. Yeah. Make sure that you all check out Karen Sanderson. She's been awesome, and she does have a lot of cool stuff on sales enablement. I'll put the link over in the description for her LinkedIn profile and anything else that we can share there. But besides that, Karen, thank you. You have an awesome time.
Oh, thank you. This conversation was great. And if there's anybody that wants, to reach out and hear more about sales enablement or has specific questions or topics that maybe they would like to hear on your podcast, and then, maybe we can set up another time too.
Oh, cool. Sounds great. All right,
All
Bill.
right. Thank you.
Hey, my friend, would you like to be part of the podcast? Go ahead and drop a comment either on the YouTube channel, Style and Origins, or drop a message on Spotify. There is a button where you can drop a message. It should be at the top of our main page. And do that. That's a voice message, of course. And you can let me know, hey, I'd like to be part of the podcast. Otherwise, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Style Learn. That is one word, Style Learn together. So, all right. Bye-bye.